What is up, future mansion builders? I want to talk to you today about middle America mansions. Kind of a funny term I just thought up, but realistically, we are teaming up and partnering with people across the country. And so some of these places are in less affluent markets, in some of these lower income and rural cities. And I now have learned through multiple experiences that you can do a deal like this in a less affluent area and still make a net profit of about $30,000 a month. So that's what I want to talk to you about, because I share my numbers a lot on this show and I tell you, here's what we do, and we're in Georgetown, Texas, and I would say it's kind of a medium plus market. It may be a little bit above that, the low end of high, but it's definitely not the most expensive market. We charge between $8,000 and $10,000 a month, and that's pretty normal for this market for end of life and memory care, right? We're 30 minutes north of Austin. There's definitely places in Austin that charge 12, 13 grand a month. There's places in other states that I know that charge 12 plus $1,000 a month there. And then we've partnered in multiple other areas. So in more rural areas, right? We have teams that we're working with in Texarkana, in Beaumont, Texas, in Mississippi, in El Paso, in a variety of other areas that you might not think building a mansion is a great fit. And so I've learned these things and I want to share them with you because I think that I've heard from a lot of people, hey, you know what, Brett, you share your story of, you moved from California to start your assisted living mansion. You moved to this area that is a great fit for it. But what about people that don't want to move, right? What about people who are happy and stabilized where they're at, but it's not the perfect area, right? It may be middle America. It may be like people call the flyover states, right? I have gotten a lot of data from across the country now, and I can tell you that it still makes sense to do this in these deals, and you should be able to do it in your backyard. I don't think you should have to move your family if you want to do a great deal like this. So I want to share those numbers with you today and really show you, because there are much lower expenses doing these models in less affluent areas, right? It's mostly labor. Our monthly expenses are mostly labor, so that drops things substantially. Labor, the cost for land, cost for construction are the three biggest things. So I'm going to compare and contrast in this show today and show you here's what my numbers look like in a medium plus kind of market at $8,000 to $10,000 a month for bed rates for income. And if we are looking at other markets that we are investigating and seeing and working, right? If you're at $6,500 a month of top line income for rents, how does that all play out as you now have lower labor, lower building, lower operating expenses? It's more than $30,000 a month, right? I think that is still an amazing deal. And I'm excited to learn this lesson and be able to share it with you, because not everyone has to go and drive to an expensive area that's an hour or so away, right? You could be in your own backyard. And I think that's super important. All right, so let's look at some of these numbers. I'm gonna have two columns here, one sharing my numbers here in Georgetown, Texas, the other at some of the other deals we are working in less affluent areas. So my numbers here, total development cost of about 3.5 million versus what I'm going to be showing about 3 million. And we'll break it down into a few different categories here. So when I say total development cost, I mean the actual cost for the land, the cost to build a mansion, the cost for all the fixtures, furniture, FF&E, working capital, oh crap, safety factor money, like all the things, right? 3.5 versus about 3. And hopefully still you have a bunch of reserves and other things in here. And this is going to be building top of the line, gorgeous, most BA mansion that is going to be around. So first consideration is the cost of land. And I'm going to use probably about 1 to 2 acres as an example. Land large enough to build one mansion, but not big enough that you're going to build a neighborhood of them. So for my market, it's about $400,000 to $600,000 versus some of the less affluent markets, $200,000 to $300,000. The mansion itself cost about $2.3 million in my market to build the actual building and then all of the site stuff that goes along with it. In the less expensive areas, about $2 million on that same example. Then we get into your staffing, the caregivers, right? That's your biggest expense. For us, it's about $18 an hour and our chef is at $20. On the lower affluency markets, it's about $13 an hour for your caregivers and about $15 an hour for your chef. Same with your managers. We are between about $75,000 and $95,000 a year for a salary for a good manager versus about $55,000 to $75,000 a year for salary for a good manager in some of the other markets. So these numbers here are built on your real estate side and on your business operations side. And so I'll play it forward and show you what it all looks like down to your net profit. But if you're thinking about my market and is it something that I can do? Am I in an affluent enough area? Is my area too low income or too rural? Just go through and see, how do you compare against the example numbers that I'm sharing with you? So here's what the business side looks like. We build new construction, gorgeous mansions, right? 10,000 square feet, 16 private rooms. They all have their own bath, 20-foot vaulted ceilings. We have a garden room, we have a library, we have a salon, and then we have all the same care and amenities that you could get at the big smelly facilities. So we're doing end of life, we're doing assisted living and memory care. So usually that means we are on the more expensive side of the industry. We're not talking about assisted living like Golden Girls where you're just doing a little bit. We're talking about those people who have declined another 5 or 10 years and really need a lot more care at the end of life. So it's expensive, right? And in our market, again, we are about $8,000 to $10,000 a month per resident per month per bedroom, right? And in the other markets, we're looking at a $6,500 a month bed rate. And I'm seeing that pretty common around the country, even in some of the areas that are less expensive. So if you play that forward and we said 16 grandmas and grandpas, right, in a mansion here by me, with about 6% vacancy, that's 15 of your rooms filled out of the 16, it's about $120,000 a month of income. Versus on the other side, about $98,000 a month of income. And again, just to point out a note here, I think around 100 grand top line income is the goal you're shooting for. Anywhere in the country, if you can hit about 100 grand a month, it puts you in a good spot to be able to do this deal. And so next, let's talk about the payroll. That's our biggest expense. So I'm going to show you these numbers of what it looks like to have 2 caregivers on 24/7 every single day. I'm going to show you what it looks like to have a chef on at about 45 hours a week and a full-time manager who's getting paid pretty good. So that looks like, for my model, about $39,000 a month of payroll plus the overhead and expenses and taxes and stuff that we pay as a company. Versus on the other side, the less affluent areas, that's about $29,000. So there's already a difference of about $10,000 a month of lower expenses on these other markets. The next, let's talk about the building, your mortgage, taxes, insurance, all of those kind of things. Because right now it's super expensive. And if you're doing a $3.5 million deal versus a $3 million deal, either way, it's expensive. I'm going to be showing you what it looks like if you put 15% down with an SBA loan and you financed all the other working capital, all the FF&E, all of that kind of stuff. So it's about a $24,000 a month PITI. That's your payment to the bank for your $3.5 million mansion in my neck of the woods, versus a little bit lower of about a $20,000 monthly payment to the bank for the less expensive markets. Then you have your operating expenses, your utilities, your food, your insurance, your marketing dollars, hiring dollars, all the different things, right? $16,000 on both sides. I left it totally even because honestly, we're lowering the cost of the building because we're in a less expensive market. We are not lowering the quality of the care. And everything we're going to provide, we're still going to provide amazing care on both sides of these things. So it's about $16,000 a month for both sides, right? For operating expenses. So that leaves us a net profit on both sides here, right? On a deal just like mine in a market similar to mine, it's a little bit over $41,000 a month net profit. And in these other markets, in what people call the flyover states, right? In the more rural areas, it's still a net profit of almost $33,000 a month. I don't care who you are, $33,000 a month is a lot of money for pretty much just about anybody, right? That's way more money than I spend. So I think that you can do awesome, massive deals in any state, in any of these areas, right? There may be some exceptions. Don't go into a really scary kind of neighborhood you won't walk around at night. But that doesn't mean just because you're in an area where there's not a bunch of rich people that you can't be successful in these kind of deals. $6,500 a month is a great number for you to look at, right? If you're getting close to that, man, I think there's a great chance you can do an amazing deal there. And I'm going to show you, hey, you know what? You're going to get a loan for 85%. That means you still need 15% down, right? That's, $450,000, something to that effect. If you raised money and you brought in an investor partner, they contributed $300,000, They took 15% equity in the real estate business and the operations company business. You still have 85%. You still make over $325,000 net to you a year. That's a lot of money, right? You could quit your job. You and your spouse could quit your job. And that's not counting the equity you build in real estate. We are building new construction. And because of that, we're not paying full price for what the building's going to be worth in the future. It's worth nearly double what I build it for, right? Because you have the real estate and the future business. You're building millions of dollars in equity. That is your retirement play. You have the capital to do this now, to replace your income, to fire your boss, to have an amazing lifestyle, and you have your exit play, right? You could sell this business in 5 or 10 years, right? You could 1031 into some other kind of investment. You could run it forever, hand it off to your kids, and have a backup plan, a retirement play, the safety net, all of those kind of things. So I just wanted to do this episode because I want to tell people who are in those kind of areas, right? Where it's just like, I don't think this is a good fit. Check it out again. It might be a great fit. I'm finding that there's a lot of markets that this makes sense to do. And just because I moved across the country to do this, I was looking to get out of California. I did not want to raise my family there. And there was a lot of personal reasons for me. I don't think that you should move to an area that you don't like, away from your friends, away from your family, to start this business. Because the business depends on you, right? If you're not happy, if you're going to be struggling, personally, it will be affecting your business. And then again, it's affecting the bottom line, right? Be happy. This is the one life you have, right? Our goal is financial freedom. It's retiring early. It's living our best life. And part of that is not going to some area away from all your friends and family. You're going to hate your life, right? Part of it is let's do it here in our own backyard. And this is a model, even if you're not next to all the affluent people, you can still make 30 grand a year and do amazing things to help people. So I hope this inspires you. Hope it helps you go and search your market. And actually, if you're trying to figure out, well, how do I search my market? Hit our free trainings, right? Location selection course. We have multiple courses on the website. Location selection tells you step by step. Here's what to do. Here's the numbers to look at. Here's how to talk to the city and the fire marshal and the zoning and the planning and the building department, all the different things to make sure this deal works, financially speaking, and I can do this with the city. So have an awesome day. I will see you in the next one.